this time, I'd like to call to order this special meeting of the Joint Planning and Zoning Commissions. Let the record show that all commissioners are present. At this time, I'll open up the public comment period. Anyone wishing to come up and speak on an agenda item that is not up for public hearing, please come up, sign in with the secretary, and you'll get your 3 minutes to speak. Okay, no one wishing to speak. Item 4, public hearing to consider the following conceptual plan. 4A, river crossing, a planned unit development.
Mr. Chairman and Commissioners, my name is Doug Villian. I'm the Planning and Zoning Consultant for this project. I am from Baton Rouge. My address is 6118 Pasture View, Baton Rouge, Louisiana. I appreciate this opportunity to present this project. I think it's going to be a wonderful project for Ascension Parish. I'd like to first introduce to you the developer from Vantage Construction, Saul & Sullivan, and our engineer, Billy Taylor of McClin & Associates. This project is located on the south side of Highway 22, north of Highway 942 along River Road. It's only a few hundred feet from the Darrow community. I'd like to mention first that we initiated this project with the Planning Commission staff back in January at a pre-application meeting. Then in February, we took this project to the Ascension Parish School Board because a part of this project involves the school board. Then we took it to the Planning Commission again. The Commission held a workshop in March and then a second workshop in April. And today we now have processed this PUD proposal through several changes as recommended by the staff and the Planning Commission workshops. The proposal is for 176 acres, and we propose a mixture of land uses within this development. 126 acres to be residential, 4 acres will be commercial, and 46 acres as open space. The residential component that consists of 126 acres will be developed into 455 lots. This will be further divided into 3 categories of residential. 6,000 square foot lots comprising of 130 units, 8,400 square foot lots comprising 169 units, and 10,500 square foot lots that will comprise 156 lots. If you look at your concept plan, you'll notice some circles on that plan, and these circles indicate a mixture of the 6,000 and 8,400 square foot lots. The overall density for the development will come to approximately 2.5 dwelling units per acre. Within the commercial component that consists of about 4 acres, that's shown on the plan near the entrance to river crossing at Highway 22 and near the school site, will be light commercial, light retail shops, personal service shops, office, and a child care facility. The landscape buffers will be located in the appropriate areas as according to ordinance, which will shield the residential and the school areas from parking and commercial activity. The open space component consists of approximately 46 acres, divided into 3 categories. The first category would be parks, green links, and the school site. The second, street trees and landscape. And the third, lakes and ponds. I'd like to note that we are donating 10 acres to the Ascension Parish School Board, and we're selling at our cost, 5 acres to the school board, making up a 15-acre school site at this time. This project will be developed in 3 phases over a period of 5 to 6 years. The first phase will consist of about 161 dwellings, and the second phase, 173 dwellings. The third phase, 121 dwellings. I'd like to describe the road and traffic circulation. The site is accessed by 2 state highways, Highway 22 at the north and Highway 942 River Road at the south access. All local and interior road circulation will branch off the north-south Collector Boulevard. All streets will be constructed curb and gutter. The Collector Boulevard sections will be designed with a 100-foot right-of-way, and the local street sections designed within 50-foot right-of-way. Pedestrian circulation will be linked to all the parks, the recreation, and school site. The green links with walkways will include walkways and bike paths. Drainage and flooding. There are no significant drainage issues. The site will be drained to Conway Bayou Drainage System. The utilities will be provided by the Ascension Parish Water Company down along Highway 22. The sewer will be provided by an on-site sewer treatment facility, which will handle the waste from the subdivision and the school. Electricity will be handled by Energy, and gas by the Louisiana Gas Company. The public services in the area will be provided by the Hillaryville Fire Station, police protection by the Ascension Parish Sheriff's Department, parks. There are 2 existing parks in the area. There's the Darrow Community Center and the Hillaryville Park. 6 additional parks will be developed within this planned unit development. Environmentally sensitive areas associated with this site. There are no known wetland issues or geologic hazards associated with this site. We have provided all the additional information requested by the Planning Commission staff and the ERA relative to any questions or whatever they may have had on this application. In summary, this area of the parish is a very attractive residential area for development. It's providing a sense of place for family living. The site is impeccably clean and free of on-site issues. The topography is suitable and well-drained. The adjacent land uses are compatible with no encroachments. It's an environmentally safe area. All the elements for normal standard of living are present. We would like to footnote our contributions by stating that we're donating 23 acres to parks and open space. We're donating 10 acres to the school system. We're selling at cost 5 acres to the school system. We're donating site preparation and infrastructure to the school system. We're making available to area residents, the community, and the parish recreational amenities such as the parks, the playgrounds, the walking and cycling paths, new nearby public school that families can live near, additional commercial services, new jobs within the commercial and the school system, improved water pressure to the Darrow area, and a traditional neighborhood where people can live, work, and play instead of driving great distances. We believe that all these factors contribute to the spirit of the ordinance and meet all of the requirements of the PUD ordinance. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Any comments or questions from commissioners? If there are no comments or questions at this time, then we'll go ahead and open up the public hearing. Anyone wishing to come up and speak on this property, please come up, sign in with the secretary, and you will get your 3 minutes to speak.
Hi, my name is Tracy Badine. I live at 37609 Highway 22. I've lived in Darrah for the past 44 years. For the first 19 years, I lived with my parents. In the next 24 years, I'm married and I live with my husband in Darrah. I'm one of 5 landowners. I own 24 acres. I'm here tonight to express my opinion and request that you consider our land for this development. I lived in a mobile home for the past 24 years, and selling my land would allow me and my husband to relocate and to have our first home. Thank you.
Thank you.
My name is Millette Smiley Weiss, and I live at 1906 South Angela Street here in Gonzales. I inherited 24 acres of land from my mother when she passed away in 2002. I do not plan to move back to Darrah because I have 2 kids, and they're both involved in various community activities, and I just like the convenience of being close. I choose to sell this land. I'm employed by the Ascension Parish School Board as a school nurse, and I see the overcrowding in our schools firsthand. This developer is donating 10 acres of land to our school system, which can benefit our community as a whole. I can think of no better way to represent the legacy of my grandparents and my mother than by being part of a positive community development. Your consideration would be appreciated.
Thank you.
Julie?
Good afternoon. Thank you for allowing us to speak for a few minutes. My name is Julie Sheksana, and I live at 14095 Anna Road here in Gonzales. I work as a massage therapist in a private practice, and I'm also a registered nurse. In addition, I am a landowner. I own 24 acres, which I inherited at the time of my mother's death. I stand before you today identifying myself as a goal-setter, a risk-taker, and a dreamer. I have been very excited thinking about the unlimited possibilities regarding this property. As a landowner, I foresee myself returning to my roots, to live in my father's household and care for a 30-year-old brother who's mentally challenged. If I choose to see this development in a negative light, it's not a good thing. So I stand here before you today saying, I want to be the new neighbor, I want to move back into my father's residence, and I want to be the one to support this development. Thank you.
Thank you.
Carol Lee?
Good evening. My name is Carol Lee Smiley. I live at 37569 Highway 22, Darrah, Louisiana. I'm a mother, a grandmother, and a widow. I've been a homemaker my entire adult life. I'd like to give you just a brief history of the land for the proposed development site. For 62 of my 70 years, all my family, with the exception of my oldest sister, has lived on land near the property. Its primary function was cattle farming. Some years back, we rented some of the land to cane farmers. Both did well. I feel this land is absolutely as suitable for development as it is for farming. I own the largest single portion of land for this proposed development, and at this time in my life, I'm ready to sell. I appreciate your time.
Thank you.
Chris Robert?
This is not just a Darrah issue. This is the issues that should concern the whole parish. Infrastructure should be a major concern to this administration. Roads, sewer, parish water, schools, to name a few. There are 4 new housing developments in the southern region of the parish. They are River Ridge, 316 homes, Pelican Crossing Phase 2, 210 homes, Orange Grove, 349 homes, and if River Crossing is passed for development, it will have 455 homes. That is 1,330 new homes.
1,330 new families after moving into their new homes will then look for nice roads to travel on and schools to send their children to. They will soon find that Ascension Parish roads are beyond their capacity and the schools are overcrowded. Ascension Parish government is having a hard time just keeping the infrastructure we have in working order, much less keeping up with the new development. Zoning and planning. One of these days, someone in this country is going to have to make a stand to protect farmland. All four of the developments I mentioned earlier are either being or will be developed on some of the most fertile land in this parish. There are two farming entities that will be impacted by the Orange Grove development. Nick Milano Farms and J&R Robert Incorporated, in which I'm a part of. In certain times of the year, farmers such as Nick and I have to spray pesticides by air and burn off residue as a result of harvest. There is not an alternative method that is cost effective. Do you think that if a new homeowner in this community doesn't like or understand this practice that he will forget about it? No, they will not. The farmer will be the loser and end up costing him thousands of dollars even though he was there first. Mr. Bert Duplessis and his son Briss are faced with the same issues with river crossing. I am a landowner in Dara, and I am against this high-density development. Thank you.
Thank you.
Amanda.
Hi, my name is Amanda White. I live at 3294 Bristol Plessis Road. From what I understand, Orange Grove subdivision is in the final stage and is also a PUD. This is 6 miles down Highway 22 from the proposed PUD. Is it necessary to have two PUDs this close together? Thank you.
Thank you.
John.
I live at 38146 Highway 942, which is about 7/10 of a mile from this proposed development.
Your name, sir? Your name?
John Robert, Jr. The first thing I wanted to say is that everybody has a right to sell property. So I don't think anybody here has a beef with people wanting to sell their land. I think what people have a problem with is the intent of the land and the change in zoning. And I have in my hand it's the Ascension Parish Development Code, 2003. I don't know if that's the current development code or not, but I just wanted to read a few things, and whoever wrote this up, I think, had a pretty good grasp of the whole situation here. The citizens of Ascension Parish, after completing a detailed planning process, have determined, and I am doing some paraphrasing, as a rural parish, Ascension Parish does not have extensive infrastructure, public investment to support development. If development is not carefully planned, the cost of roads, water, sewer can quickly accelerate pressure to raise taxes. As a location for a large number of industrial plants, Ascension Parish must carefully manage residential and commercial development close to these plants, which Chris just pointed out one of the problems. Another problem is the Ormet plant and all the development that's going on around it. I can easily see a problem with this thing and Cooper Industries, which will be within a mile of this development. If growth, I'm reading again, if growth is not carefully managed, development may destroy the rural character of the parish. This character represents a valuable property right to the residents of the parish. So the rural character is a property right, and that's one of my concerns about this development, which is going to be right next to me. This is a high-density development out in the middle of the country, 4 miles from any current development. Why does it have to be this far out this soon? Why can't the parish grow out progressively instead of sticking something way out here? The purpose of this ordinance is to protect public health and safety, increase property values, promote orderly development consistent with the character of the parish. This is out of character. I'm reading right from this thing. Going a little further down, the parish has a limited infrastructure. It should be geographically concentrated in order to reduce the cost of infrastructure and encourage development costs. Just what I talked about a second ago. The parish has a limited amount of land available for industrial and business development. This is prime industrial land. If you're going to put something there, you know, we're going to have nothing but people in the parish and no place to put any industry. We're about out of land as it is in the parish. And
30 seconds, sir.
okay, thanks. And then the growth of traffic on a narrow rural road system. I go back and forth through Gonzales to work every day. It's taking me 20 minutes just to get to Gonzales now because of all the traffic. I don't know what the plans are for increasing the traffic, but with 1,300 new homes, and then there's a new development coming in that I think hasn't even been announced yet, I just don't see the traffic being there. In August '06, the zoning board rejected another zoning change on the same piece of property.
Time, sir.
Okay, thank you.
Patty.
Hi, my name's Patty Boudreau. I live at 38093 Highway 22 in Darrah. I've lived there all of my life, very luckily. Years ago when y'all started with the zoning, we got to go back to this. Y'all said, okay, choose what y'all want to be zoned. This is what y'all going to be. Y'all going to be zoned no matter what, choose it. Well, we chose 2 or 3 of them before y'all said, okay, you can do this conservation. I don't think anybody has a problem with her selling the land. What I think the majority of us have a problem with is when we zoned conservation, which is, if I remember right, 1 house per acre. They have 176 acres that they're going to put 2.5 units per acre. Where is all of everything else going to go? I have land right now that's flooding. He's saying there's no flooding issues. I have flooding issues now that I didn't have 10 years ago because it all started with Pelican Point, because they're going around trying to make, I don't know if it's y'all or who it is, but somebody's trying to make water flow uphill, and it don't work that way. And to me, with this PUD, what y'all are trying to do is, last time when we were here, y'all said y'all don't spot zone. If you don't spot zone, what is a PUD? I understand it's supposed to be a zoning in itself, but to me it's kind of a way of getting around spot zoning, because, okay, they're going to come in with shops. There's a Darrah grocery there that has problems making it now. Granted, you're going to bring more people in, but if this one Darrah grocery can't make it, how is something else going to make it? Okay, they're going to bring in a school, elementary school. Well, where are the high school students going to go? They have problems with high school students now in Ascension Parish. They're overcrowding. And if they keep bringing in more and more and more people, where are the kids going to go? I live right on the side of where they're going to put this PUD. I have horses, I have cows. What if somebody comes into there and does something to one of my horses? One of my kids said, well, Mama, put up an electric fence and keep them out. That ain't going to work either. Do they plan on putting up some kind of border fence around, or do I have to put up my own around my pasture? Where is this going to go?
30 seconds, ma'am.
So they say there's no adjacent land issues. I guarantee you there will be adjacent land issues when, come the spring, they take all those cows up, sell the calves. Then what they're going to do, they're going to start complaining about the calves hollering because the mamas hollering because they missed the calves. Same thing as what's happening with over there on Met. They knew what was there before they moved there, and yet they still went, and Met got to pay the price. I just think it's things for y'all to stop and think about. Thank you.
Thank you.
Paul.
Paul Milano. I live at 37684 Highway 22, right across from this proposed subdivision. I think we have enough subdivision in the parish. I know we can't stop progress, and I think we just need 1 house per acre if there is to be a subdivision, instead of 2.5 houses per acre. And that's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
John Robert Sr.
My name is John Robert Sr. I own land adjacent to this proposed PUD. There's one thing that really concerns me, and that's y'all's outlook on infrastructure. Is that really important in your decisions? Because infrastructure in Ascension Parish is about 30 years behind time. I've lived here the biggest part of my life. I can recall of 4 new roads put in Ascension Parish. Vulcan Road, Highway 30, 22 in Sorrento, and Highway 70. Now just think about it. In 50 years, 4 roads, and you guys sit there and approve subdivision after subdivision without infrastructure. Now I think you guys have to really look at this very hard. We have Highway 44, which right now cannot handle the traffic that's passing. Think of all of the big semis on that road. One of these families here lost a daughter last year on 44. And a big part of it was the traffic. Now y'all proposing 1,300 homes. That's 2,600 cars that has to funnel through Highway 44. Now think about that. Think about us living down there. Give us a break. I'm not against people selling their land. I think that's a great thing. But I think it has to be looked at how it affects everybody else. And believe you me, this affects a lot of people, not just us here. Thank you.
Thank you.
Sarah?
Hello, my name is Sarah Willie, and I'm very excited about the new project, River Crossing. I'm a mother of a small child, and the new school would definitely be to my advantage. I look forward to residing in the community and my child attending the school. Thank you.
Thank you.
Robert?
Dr. Robert Judice. We have Heritage Plantation, which this land was part of at one point. Certainly agree with being able to sell your own land, but I certainly urge that the Commission check the facts. The Hillary-Bill School, which had an excellent school a few years ago, was closed, and they're bused to somewhere past Gonzales. The highways are certainly not adequate. The comment was made about 400 plus new faucets or something. If they're turned on at the same time, we'll have better water pressure. Now, we do have better water pressure since Baton Rouge took over, but there's not the infrastructure, and I'd like to point out again. They talk about Bayou Conway draining. Bayou Conway's filled up. It needs to be cleaned out, and it may work. That goes into the Panama Canal, which is overflowing with a heavy dew. So, but certainly suggest you check the comments that are made about this utopia. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Bristol Places?
Bristol Places, 3238 Bristol Places Road. And my concerns, everybody else pretty much covered everything else, but my concerns are about if these people put that many families around there, are they going to build a fence that kids can't get through and stuff like that, because we have cattle bordering it. And I can't be there 24 hours a day guarding to keep one of my cattle from running over their kids because they came on my property. And another thing is drainage. Yeah, that land they're going to proposing this on is real high. It's the highest part of the place. But the land I own, part of it'll flood with plenty of rain and a lot of rain. And these little ponds look nice and all that, but if they're already full, where's their water going to go if you got that many houses? It's not going in the ground. It's going to run off. And right, it'll run to Conway, but that means my water going to build up higher and further back because their water is going to leave first. So my concern is water stays on, grass stays on the water 2-3 days, it's dead. So what are my cows going to eat? And you know, just stuff like that. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
That's all.
Doug?
Let's see if I can sort through all of these notes on opposition. We appreciate the support. However, there are a few things that, yes, we do need to address seriously. There was a comment about infrastructure and roads. We are improving our pro rata share as required or requested by the ERA and the Planning Commission. We are providing additional, like I said, water lines down Highway 22, which should increase the water pressure in the area. There was a comment about schools. The present schools are overcrowded. We're providing a new school, which will alleviate some of that problem. Also, with relative to the high school situation, perhaps maybe the school board can answer that best. We have a representative here from the school board that may shed some light on both this type of school that we're proposing, as well as any additional or other schools in the area. The protection of farmland is something that's rather difficult to address. There is no encroachments or impedances on the operations of the adjacent farmland properties. There was a comment about spraying, crop dusting, overspray onto the new residential. Well, if that's a problem, then there is certainly a problem in the existing homes that surround this site as well. So I refer back to that comment for the individual to address his own issues. The intent of the land and changing of the zoning, well, this is a carefully planned out project. It is not simply a spot zone. A PUD is not a spot zone. A PUD is intentionally designed to be a coordinated development with a mixture of uses, of land uses, be it industrial, commercial, residential, recreation. Our intent here is to lay the groundwork for a well thought out conceptual plan that we can move forward and finesse and develop as we file the next stages as required by the ordinance. There was a comment that this is not suitable for residential, or that the gentleman was in opposition to residential, but it was prime industrial property. But in the same breath, he also contradicted and said that it was not suitable. So for residential development, I'm confused. Is it industrial, or is it residential, or is it neither? The density issue, I think that's certainly one that we could take a hard look at. It's a subdivision, and it's providing more homes for people to raise their families, and you're going to have growth in communities, and you're going to have families that are going to expand. And with that, there is a great need for new housing stock. And without new subdivisions, you're not going to have that. They're going to move out of the parish to other areas that are creating more livable and new housing and new subdivisions. So yes, we are creating somewhat of a denser category for this specific spot, but it's something that's well planned and well thought out, and it's not just a haphazard traditional old subdivision that you might find cropping up in any part of the United States. With that, I think I'll just open and let the commissioners ask more questions, and I'll be happy to address them. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Comments, questions from commissioners?
I'd like to hear from the developer representative. Our ordinance states that a PUD should be innovative, should be unique, and I want to hear how is the development innovative and unique, and I also want to know how is it not adversely affecting the community.
We believe that we're addressing all of the infrastructure issues, such as drainage and traffic, which is the typical impacts that are on the adjacent properties or on the community as a whole. We're complying with whatever requests have been made and will be made by your ERA. How is this unique? This project is unique because it provides additional open spaces that you would not typically find in an ordinary subdivision. It's unique because it is providing pedestrian and walkable links between the parks and the commercial and the school. It is unique because in a typical subdivision, you don't always have a mixture of land uses. This has a mixture of land uses. It is unique because your typical subdivision will not attract a brand new middle and elementary school of such size. It is unique because it will provide a sense of place for families to live, work, and play within the community. Unique because it's providing commercial that is in close proximity to the residences, where some of the people that work in the commercial can walk or ride a bike to their work and back home. It is unique because the people that live in this community can walk and or ride a bike to the school site. These things are not found in a typical and usual subdivision. I hope I addressed that question.
Let me I hear what you're saying, but I think that there's some things that I think you could do to make it make it more unique, and one of them is that I think the commercial area needs to be internalized to the PUD. I'd almost like to see that commercial area at the intersection of your two boulevards, where it would be acting like a town center to this development. You know, I don't know if it's appropriate, but I'd almost like to see the school almost be at the corner so that it could have benefit from both roads. And maybe you can rearrange the configuration of that that 15-acre parcel so that it takes the benefit of that corner. I don't understand why you have a buffer on one side of the PUD but not the other side. Is there something different about one side of the PUD than the other side of the PUD? Is the zoning difference, or?
You want me to answer your questions as you ask them, or all at once, after?
As I might as well ask them as I go. I'll get in a roll.
Okay, I'll be happy to. First, I'll digress back to the commercial. I think that's a wonderful suggestion on internalizing the commercial into the core and center of the project. I think that's something that has a lot more. Lends itself to a lot more imagination and creativity, and I think that's a very good thought. The commercial, if I may give you a little history behind it, originally the project was not designed with commercial. And out of our Planning Commission workshops, the suggestion was to add commercial, which was a very good suggestion, and we complied. And now if the Commission as a whole would like, I don't think that would be an issue at all. Secondly, the school site being addressed further towards the intersection of the Boulevard and Highway 22, I think that would be a good suggestion. As a matter of fact, prior to the suggestion that we incorporate commercial into the project, that's where the school site was, on that corner. And thirdly, the buffer. Yes. In our initial discussions relative to the existing commercial industrial site, there's a wood chip processing plant or some sort to the west of this site, approximately 500 feet. And it was told to us that that property was all zoned industrial. That being the case, we offered immediately to provide a landscape buffer along that side, which would be a natural thing to do by ordinance. I'm glad you bring that up, because we have discovered that is zone conservation, and it is similar to the zone property on the other side. We would like to transfer, if you will, that buffer into either yard space for homes or to the green link along the boulevard.
Well, what I was going to suggest to you is that maybe you can take that buffer and use it internal to the PUD, in that you're very, very, very close with these parks to almost create small neighborhoods. And I think if you could take that buffer and you take this PUD and take advantage of it to create common elements along the rear of the lots and what have you, you can take advantage of that and actually break it up into little neighborhoods that would really make those residential areas, function like little neighborhoods, and give you some of that creativity that Commissioner Bardwell is asking for. And I think you could take that buffer and just apply in a couple of separate places and do that.
I don't see that as a problem at all, sir.
Any other comments or questions from the Commissioner?
Let's move on to traffic and infrastructure overall. I'm going to just make a couple of comments right quick on Darrow. Darrow is a sensitive area, and in a lot of cases, it doesn't have the infrastructure in place to support it. We're being told more and more on this commission that the development is trying to move out that way. We're seeing it more and more, but we don't. In a lot of cases, we don't have the infrastructure there to support anything without a firm plan in place. With that being said, you've also got a lot of landowners in the area, and we've seen this across the parish, that are getting to a point where they're looking to sell their property. I guess what I'm looking for here, and when you're talking about infrastructure, I want to talk about the traffic. I see a lot of loss in service there on certain movements. Some of it's getting all the way down to a loss of service of F at the intersections. What are your plans? infrastructure-wise, traffic-wise, intersection-wise?
That's a good question. I'll first answer it in generalities, then I'm going to let our engineer get a little more specific with you. Did we provide you with a traffic study?
Yes.
And you have a level of F on those intersections?
I have one, at least one.
And was there a recommendation that you have on there?
There was a slight comment about signal modifications.
Actually, there's two, if I may. There's one of them is for you to construct the proposed left turn lane on Highway 22 and at the proposed entrance, and then the other one is to work with DOTD on the modifying of signal timing on 22 and 44. And the level service, drop from E to F is at the eastbound turning movements at 22. And also on 44.
And also the whole intersection.
And those recommendations were by the ERA. And I believe we agreed to make those improvements. But I'm going to let Mr. Billy Taylor answer the more detailed part of that question.
My name is Billy Taylor. I'm with McLennan Associates. First of all, coming into the project, we are adding a left turn lane after Phase 2, which is required in traffic study. The additional traffic that will be added to 22 and 44 does drop the level of service to F, but with the suggested timing changes to the signal, those are brought forth to the DOTD and implemented. It will bring it back up to an overall level of service of C. So once we make all these changes, that should address those issues.
And I guess we're back to the same question: how does this commission, get the necessary assurances that you and DOTD will be able to implement those timing changes?
And other projects that we've done that have required improvements for traffic purposes, we've worked directly with the Parish ERA, and all our submittals to them, they ask us to, and they require it, and we have to show them all that. And I think y'all put y'all's trust in them to make sure that we do that.
Am I missing it? I mean, you mentioned that you could bring them back up, and you specified a certain level. I don't see that anywhere in the. Am I missing it?
Michael, can you expand on that?
The last paragraph of the second to last page, third page, talks about once the signal timing changes were made, level of service result, all turning movements result in level of service C, and the overall intersection is at a C.
Just in summary, yes, once these signal timing changes are made, it will bring the level of service back up to C. And there is also DOTD is fixing to start construction. They're adding I think a left turn lane to all movements at that intersection, and that was also considered in this study. So it is, as a concern of infrastructure, there are improvements being made to help keep up with this project.
Any other questions or comments by commissioners?
I just have a general observation about the PUDs that we've been seeing, and maybe Mike or staff can comment on this. Whenever this was rolled out, the whole concept, we were told that the density in most cases would not increase, and it seems like every one of the PUDs that we're getting, it's increasing significantly. And I'm interested in what has changed from the ordinance that we were explained to in regards to that, and what's actually happening in reality. Michael, do you have any comments on
that? I do not believe that it was represented that a PUD would not increase the density of a project. what was explained very fully is that the PUD is a rezoning. Therefore, it is ultimately acted on by the council and from a recommendation from the Planning Commission. The council can refuse any rezoning request. And it is simply the council's opinion as to whether or not the density requested is in keeping with the neighborhood and whether or not it's appropriate. So there was no intention in the PUD ordinance to say that you couldn't increase the zoning over the existing density. If that was the case, there would be no need for the PUD ordinance. And really O'Neill is the one that needs to answer this question, but I think that the council has a lot of latitude in whether or not they approve a rezoning request. It's a lot different than the Planning Commission approving a subdivision when the subdivision complies with all the requirements.
Right. I'm referring back to the main author of this PUD ordinance on multiple occasions in meetings that I was present at, stating when asked that question that the density would not increase. Now, what you're hitting on there is that the actual verbiage in the PUD ordinance itself does not address that. So it may have been stated, but there was not any documentation in the ordinance that would make that reality, right?
To my recollection, it was never represented that a PUD would not result in an increased. It was clearly represented that it is the council's decision to review the application and determine if it's appropriate. But it was never represented that a PUD would not would not result in an increase in density. I'm not quite sure where that representation is coming from, but that's my recollection of the process.
Any other comments or questions from commissioners?
I have a question.
Sherry?
Yes, ma'am.
I think y'all have done a lot of things that we've asked for throughout all the meetings we went to on this, but I still have a problem with the density also, and I think a lot of us have expressed that through this whole process. And also, when Mr. Robert talked about the spraying, you kind of dismissed that in your rebuttal.
The rain?
Spraying.
Oh, the spraying.
I think that's a big issue. I think you need to look at that a little bit closer, because if we don't want to put him out of his livelihood. I think that if an additional buffer zone is required to protect your residents from his spray, I think that's something you need to look at.
We will take a look at it. I respect your comment on that. I think it's somewhat of an arguable point if if there's a health issue currently with the operations in which they're conducted by overspraying upon adjacent residences. If that's an issue, then he's got an issue pre-existing to the site. If there's no way to avoid that by aerial spraying, then perhaps the former needs to reconsider the method in which he applies that toxin on the plants.
But it may be he can tell his neighbors, we're going to be spraying today, y'all stay inside. But if you've got 400 homes right here, you can't necessarily do that. So it may be something he has worked out with his neighbors. But I would think that would be a good thing for him to do. And I would just like to see you look into that.
I appreciate that. Thank you. I'm not dismissing the point. It is truly an issue of the health, safety, and welfare of the community, and I respect that. Thank you.
Scott?
Well, I was just going to echo what Sherry was saying, that it's really kind of a clash in cultures. We're talking about farmers that have one home in 500 acres, forget the overspray, forget the word toxicity, which I have an issue with. If it's approved by FDA and he can use it, and that's his only means, then he can use it. But what if we're talking about burning of sugarcane stubble, which is a common practice in that particular area of the country? People that live next door, we've all been taught since we were kids that fire is bad. To a farmer or to a forester, fire is a necessary tool. We need fire, and if we don't have fire, then he can't do what he's got to do. So it's really a clash of culture. There is a health and safety, but more than that, it's kind of a stigma. And really, it goes back to a clash of culture that really, I agree with Sherry. You kind of dismissed it, but it is a big issue. And to me, the culture clash, that's why we're all here, is trying to work this out. These people are used to being in a rural environment. They were sold in this rural zoning thing. Now we're changing things up and progression's happening. And unfortunately or fortunately, we both have to learn where the common ground is, and we both have to learn about each other's culture and get through that. So that's, you don't need to comment. If you want to, you can, but I just want to. Well,
thank you very much. I appreciate it. Yes, I would like to comment because I think it's just a difference of opinion. If the spraying is approved by FDA and it's all right to fall on houses, then it's might not be an issue at all. If and relating to the burning of crops, yes, maybe all of us in this room have been affected by the burning of crops. I live in Baton Rouge, and I've found ashes all over my vehicles. I'm affected by that as well, or the smoke or whatever. So yes, there are different cultures. It's a matter of how you perceive how the operations are conducted on the farmland. But life does go on, and subdivisions are created. And if he can impact a residence or a residential subdivision a mile away from his site by his operations just as well as he can right over the fence.
I think the important issue here is that you need to understand that these operations are going to continue to occur. They may occur for the foreseeable future. They may occur for a prolonged future. Nobody has a crystal ball. And the people that buy here, somehow need to be educated. They may not come from a farming background. They may not come from a rural background. And they may need to realize that they're going to move into a neighborhood that's going to, next door may look very pretty to have the cows out there, but along with that comes some possible noxious side effects.
Oh, perhaps that may be something that could be included in an ordinance about a buyer beware when you buy a home near an agricultural operation.
Doug, I can understand where the commissioners are coming from, having grown up in the country.
I understand
on the farm. Kind of used to laugh at some of the cousins that grew up in the city because we get them out there on the farm and they didn't know what was really going on. This issue has actually come up in general conversation dealing with some other subdivisions, some other developments in the parish, because you have a farming situation where livestock, the last time I think it came up, it was dealing with pigs. The pigs were there first, but chances are at some point in time somebody in the subdivision is going to complain because of the odor. And then somebody's going to want to have this farmer, this individual's potential livelihood done away with because it does not fit in with their lifestyle. I've said it before. I'll say it once again. I've always had an issue with some of the decisions we made because we force people into a civil court issue. They have to go to civil court. I really don't like that. Now it's the system. It's the way that our system works. And a lot of times that's one of the reasons we try to work out as much of this type of stuff ahead of time deal with it later on. Unfortunately, it doesn't always work out that way. But I mean, I think the commissioners are bringing up concerns. They're genuine concerns. You're going to have individuals potentially moving into this development that are not educated in a farm setting. You go ahead, sell the calves off, you're going to hear cows lowing all night, maybe 2 nights. And it'll keep you awake. Can do it. So then sheriff's office is going to start getting complaints. It sounds kind of funny in a way. It really does. But I mean, it can happen. Spraying, you're going to have someone that's not going to know. They're going to see if someone's crop dusting out there, spraying something. They're not necessarily going to be level-headed. They may panic. You don't know the nature of the individual. Once again, there's a sheriff's office getting called out to come check on something. So I see the commissioners bringing up some good points, some issues that I think do need to be. I don't know that they can be resolved right now, but I think they do need to be investigated a little bit further. And that's really all I'm going to say about that.
I really appreciate your comments, and I did not mean to dismiss that if it sounded such. I just don't know of an easy solution to that concern. And if there is an easy solution, please, I'm willing to hear it right now. But
lowering your density would lower the risk. Putting up a buffer zone may reduce your risk. I mean, there are things that you can do that will reduce your risk. To get rid of it means you don't have a development at all. But I think you can reduce it. Sherry mentioned improving a buffer zone between some of the ag lands. That may help you out a bit.
That perhaps maybe the buffer that we had on one side, perhaps maybe we could relocate it to the other side where we didn't think we had an issue. That might help the situation.
I think I think all of us outlined some pretty sound issues. And you've heard from the public, both from the opponents and the supporters, and I would recommend that you take those thoughts and incorporate them and revise your plan accordingly, and come back next month. To be honest with you,
I think the ordinance requires you to act on this tonight.
It does?
Yes, the ordinance says, following the required public notice, the commissioner shall hold a public hearing on the proposed PUD unit development. Following the commissioner shall review the plan unit development request, concept plan, make any comments submitted by the and shall make a recommendation to the parish council. So to approve and disapprove with conditions or deny the plan unit development.
So we can't defer it?
No. The ordinance says you act on it.
But this is for concept plan. Does that a vote for, is that accepting the density?
The concept plan goes to the council, yes.
So we are accepting the density they currently have by a yes vote?
The concept plan goes to the council for their approval, yes. This is the...
May I offer maybe a solution to part of the problem? You do know that we have to come back to you for 3 phases or filings, or however you want to describe it, which is a refinement of the concept plan in detail, basically a preliminary plat. And we offer to make some of those changes, specifically like the buffer, within that filing or that phase of the development.
Is that satisfactory to the commission?
not if O'Neill
The
is...
call is
O'Neill is saying a vote for yes, a yes vote accepts this density. And you're saying you may be able to move a buffer, but that's not giving a buffer on both sides.
Well, I think if we move this to recommendation to the council, this sets a cap for the density. It's all but it's a recommendation. The council can lower that cap, raise the cap, erase the cap, move the cap, do as they please.
They can approve with conditions. They can approve with conditions, but they got to act on it tonight.
I got it on your density number that you have. You got 455 in a lot of places, but in your summary table on your map, it adds up to 434.
There is an error on that summary table, and that was conveyed just mathematically, adding the phases to that. That's
so what's right?
Incorrect. I'm going to give you that figure.
Is it 455?
The total is 455. Okay. Correct, sir.
All right.
But.
And that's fine. I just want to make sure we know what it is.
The two figures are above that.
If you go to the council, you better have your number right, because that's your density. Make sure you know.
455 is correct. Yes, sir. In that same column above, there should read 130, 169, and 159. Excuse me, 156.
Yeah.
130, 169, and 156. It was a simple addition problem.
Should it match what's in the other table below? Read them again. To me. Read them again. You say the 130 should be what?
The 130 for the 50 by 20 foot lots, 120 foot lots, and then 169 for the 60 by 140.
169. Okay.
And the 70 foot lots would be 156.
6. Okay.
And those should total to 455.
All right. I'll take your word for it. I'm not going to run it again. But on your traffic study, you go to that, and there's some numbers there. You got 455 single-family lots. You've got 3,750 square feet of retail, 3,750 general office, 3,750 square feet of daycare. Is that numbers that you haven't identified?
Which table are you looking at?
I'm looking at the traffic impact study summary. I mean, are those assumptions that somebody made?
These were estimates, conceptual estimates of what will be. You're talking about the square footages.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yes.
All right. Just out of curiosity, did you include the school into this? You kept bringing up a school. I mean,
into the traffic.
Every other paragraph of your thing was a school, and that's way more than.
I'm told that we were told that we did not have to include that school.
Who told you that? And why?
I can go through our correspondence. I think we were asking the school, I don't know exactly, they don't have the figures or whatever. I think I was just through communication with the ERA, but at that time we weren't required to put it in there when we did this study.
I mean, I don't know what your reason is either, but I'm hearing if you didn't have to include it, then maybe you really don't have a strong commitment for a school. I mean, that's
we have a strong commitment. I'm going to let the school board address that if you want to.
Yeah.
Certainly. And as far as for the traffic study, I don't know why that we were told that we didn't have to have the school site included in that traffic analysis.
And then I guess lastly, the Highway 44 is being improved, and they will have another turn lane there when the state finishes. Is that included in your calculations? You know.
That's included in the existing conditions.
So you use the new turn lane.
Which is
okay. All right.
Would you like to hear from
the
school board?
I sure would. He's been sitting there just quiet all night.
Do I need to introduce him, Scott?
Wait.
I'm sorry.
Let's get this out of the way. Scott, you are not authorized to make any promises or any commitments for the school board, correct?
He knows that.
Well, no,
I can answer.
Scott knows. I want to make sure everybody else is aware of that. So anything he does say, we are not. We really can't.
You can't be held accountable.
All right.
I mean, we can't do a traffic study on a site we don't own yet. I mean, at the time that we do own it, if we ever do own it, then we'll be required to do a traffic study. I mean, we can't do it on a site we don't own yet.
And I agree. And I guess that comes back to my point. He kept really promoting this school and walking to the school, and he not only said elementary school, he said middle school, and we don't have enough land for both of those.
I think what he probably meant was either or.
Either or.
You know.
Well, I mean it's a real vague point, is what I'm saying. I don't see.
Why wouldn't you have to put the traffic study in? If we're at a conceptual phase, why wouldn't we see, the school numbers in a conceptual phase? Why wouldn't we see that? That's going to drastically throw off our traffic, right? If we're already looking at a C and we add an elementary school with 800 kids or 600 kids, I mean, that's going to whack everything out, right?
Well, I don't know why they were told not to include the school in the traffic. No.
It gives a false projection.
If you're going to tell me you got a school, then I want to see it in your numbers.
Absolutely.
And you kept pounding that point.
Well, you make a good point. I do not have an answer as to why the school was not included in the traffic analysis.
Okay. The council probably wants to hear, so if it goes there.
Well, it's going to
either way it's going there.
Well, this is true.
Any other comments or questions from commissioners? If there are no comments or questions from commissioners, what's the wish of the commission? Or actually, I said, what is the wish of the zoning commission? Because we have to vote twice, remember. We have to vote as the zoning commission and as the planning commission.
Does it still have 160?
O'Neill?
Yes.
I mean, we heard an awful lot of issues tonight, okay?
Well, but I'm telling you what the ordinance says. I mean, you got to act on it. That's what the ordinance says. It says shall. It does say not may. It says shall.
Okay, but it doesn't say what I have to act, does it?
It says shall. It says you shall. You have to make a recommendation to the council. You shall make a recommendation to the parish council to approve conditions, or deny.
Take a stab at what, based on the issues that we've heard tonight and the fact that it's in an area where infrastructure is not at the means that it should be for this, I'm going to move that we recommend that this be denied.
I have a motion to deny by Mike Bardwell.
Second.
Second by Steve Barrow. Is there any opposition or discussion?
I'll oppose it.
I have one vote of opposition. Julio Dumas and Don Grant. Motion passes. At this time, we will now vote as the Planning Commission.
I move that we send a recommendation to the council to deny this PUD.
Have a motion by Mike Bardwell to deny, seconded by Steve Barrow. Is there any opposition or discussion?
I oppose.
I have two, Julio Dumas and Don Grant. Motion passes. All right. Moving along, we have item 4B, Orange Grove Development, revised conceptual plan, planned unit development.
Let's deny this one too. It's the same thing next to it.
Mr. Murphy.
Good evening again. Oh.
Don't beat up on Derek tonight. He's had a rough time with us here recently, so.
Yeah. Well, as you know, my name is Derek Murphy with Parish Engineering, and I'm here tonight representing Renaissance Development Group, who is requesting approval of revisions to its already approved concept and final development plan for the Orange Grove PUD to accommodate the addition of a primary school site. The changes would involve a donation of approximately 12 acres for the school, a small increase in lots from 333 to 349, an increase in green space, and 2 deletions and 1 addition to the approved PUD amenities. The boathouse along Panama Canal would be deleted due to the pipelines and insurance concerns, and the footbridge would be deleted since the lake structure has changed. Finally, sidewalks would be added to both sides of the street to accommodate the school children walking to school and provide an additional feature for neighborhood flow. This addition would provide additional safety and preclude walking in the street. The flow among the walking trails has also been approved to provide additional neighborhood convenience. In addition to the above, the alleys have been removed. The fire station has been moved to provide better access to the subdivision and the school. A secondary entrance will be constructed from Highway 22, and two lots have been removed from the main entrance area for enhanced live oak protection. The drainage and traffic function. Drainage and traffic will function as it did in the original layout. The comments from the parish and the ERA have been addressed and are incorporated in this final development plan and the concept plan. As a stipulation to the traffic study and the approval of the original layout, we were to provide intersection improvements at Highway 22 and 70. DOT is presently constructing these improvements and will be completely functional in a short period of time. The fire board and the school board have both signed off on this plan. We ask for your approval, and if you have any questions or comments, we will take them now. Thank you.
Comments, questions from commissioners?
12 acres for the school, but your map says 10.41.
Well, approximately 12 acres, because the 10.41 is the buildable area outside of the pipeline. It's going to extend past there to be around 12 acres, to include the green area there also.
So it will be, in fact, 12.
Yes.
10.41 is a nice round approximate number.
Well, it's a buildable type area outside the pipeline. So. Okay. But the 10.41 was what was requested by the school board. So we're going to go above and beyond that in the final layout.
Thank you.
A question in regards to the 16 lots. Should be becoming increasingly obvious that we're not a big fan of increase in density on this commission at this point. Is what's the purpose of these 16 lots and why are they necessary in the modification here?
You want to answer that, Tony, from a marketing standpoint?
When we redrew the whole development design, in the corner down here we put in a garden home unit, which added more lots. The lots are smaller, and so to make this thing feasible financially, we went from 333 to 349 lots because we were taking out 12 acres, we were taking out 42 lots. The lots are smaller. The overall value goes down considerably, then comes back up, and we've done these studies with the addition of a school. At least we think so. But overall, we looked for a school site outside of our development for 3 or 4 weeks prior to donating this site within the school district. And the budget we had to do that, we just transferred over to here. So that's why we went from 333 to 349 and kept it financially viable for us.
Financially viable, I guess that's a relative term.
Well, it's relative in that we kept it within the budget of giving away 12 acres of land for a school, and the reduction that caused for us, yes.
So your density increased by how much?
4.3%.
So how many lots per acre are we up to now?
We went, I believe, from 2.5 to 2.6.
Okay, and this is zone conservation previously, right, which would have been 1 lot per acre?
That's correct. Prior to the approval as a PUD, that's
Right.
correct. Pardon?
Just for purpose of clarity, the PUD's already approved, so
That is
you're
correct.
going from 2.5 to 2.6.
That is correct.
I'm sure you listened to the whole presentation about aerial spraying and burning a sugar cane. And
I did indeed.
Okay, good. So we don't have to go live that life again? Okay.
No.
So
I think this one is farther.
It's different.
This is
It's
a
further
little bit
away.
different.
This is immediately abutting sugar cane.
Yeah, but to the one side,
Scott, I've got a question for you as far as the school site. This, because of the nature of the circumstances with this particular site, we've kind of got a dual use of this area because it's also still going to be doubling up as green space. Got the school site, got the building itself sitting on this, but it's still, I'm just trying to, as far as a fence for security purposes or whatever, in the generic or basic school design, isn't there usually a cyclone fence and
Typically, we put a 6-foot chain link fence around the back of the property, and it's mainly to keep, the playground, the recess area, fenced in.
Okay.
Is that what you're getting at?
Yeah, that's what I'm trying to.
And the way this would orient is the back of the site would potentially be up against the pipeline by the Panama Canal.
Okay.
That would be the back of the property, the back of the playground.
Okay. So that area would be fenced in.
Right.
But as far as the rest of it, it would still be open. You'd still have a maintainable green space for the residents as far as that area. I mean, you're not talking about you wouldn't be fencing in the perimeter of the whole site. That's. I just want to make sure I understand what portion, because I do know there's going to be a fence at some point, somewhere on there.
This is all early. I mean,
Right, but I'm just talking in the that's why I said in the basic layout of the school. You and I have talked. You've got a basic template that you use, so I know that there is going to be a certain amount of space that's going to be fenced off.
Right. We put the footprint of the existing schools that we're going to build on the site to make sure it would work first.
Right.
we've played with it, we've adjusted it to maximize the square footage, and so we've proposed a fence in the back. You know, we do that on all our sites. You know,
Right.
It's in the back playground.
Well, and like I say, but we do have sort of a dual usage here, as far as we have a school site plus we have a green space. I just wanted to make sure that everybody did understand that there was this. You do have this dual purpose here. It's not just school site and then that's it. There's nothing else. So
We have 28% green space without including the school site at all.
okay.
10.41 acres.
Okay. Any other comments or questions from commissioners?
12.
If there are no other questions from commissioners, then we'll go ahead and open up the public hearing. Anyone wishing to come up and speak on this property, please come up, sign in with the secretary, and you will get your 3 minutes to speak. No one wishing to speak. Comments, questions from commissioners? Okay. What is the wish of the zoning commission?
I'm going to move to recommend approval and note the developer that is adjacent to a sugar cane that may have noxious impacts on his community.
I have a motion to approve by Julio Dumas, second by Don Grant. Is there any opposition or discussion?
I object.
I have one objection. Steve Barrow. Motion passes. What is the wish of the Planning Commission?
Make the same motion.
I have a motion to approve by Julio Dumas, second by Don Grant.
Still object.
I have one objection, Mr. Steve Barrow. Motion passes. They've got it here as item 12 on your agenda, but it's actually item 5. I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
I have a
Still, the Planning Commission has to approve the final development plan.
Yeah.
This was conceptual. Now, you combined them both?
Yes.
It was just a revision?
Yes, it was. It was a site.
It wasn't shown on your agenda, and we apologize,
Actually, I'm just looking at it here.
but it is.
All right.
You have to approve it.
So I need to make the motion a third time?
Well, actually, if you go ahead and you make the motion to accept the final development plan.
So move.
Second. I have a motion to approve the final development plan by Julio Dumas, second by Don Grant. With one objection, Steve Barrow.
Yep.
Motion
Move to
passes.
adjourn.
Now, I have a motion.
Motion on the floor to adjourn.
To adjourn
Item
by
12.
Scott Courtwright. I'm waiting for a second. Second by Mike Bardwell. Is there any objections or discussion? Don? Motion passes.
Thank you.
We're not going.
He's passed. Passes night time.
What would have happened if we would have